I got a goofy one I've been wanting to ask about for years. Last year you would have the punt returners and you would put a towel in where they had to hold it. What are you looking for when you do that drill?
If you watch, like Jeremiah Hawkins is a prime example of why we do that. Having those guys keep it tight.
Okay.
Sometimes those guys have a tendency, if it's not a natural punt returner, that they start to get wide.
Yep.
And sometimes if the ball's not, doesn't just fall naturally, all of a sudden you'll see these guys out here getting wide at times. So it keeps them tight, and it's a cradle to the ball. So that's the reason why we do that.
How you guys got a bit more field goal work in there today? How was that running Greg and Gabe through there?
Well, I tell you what, I've been really excited about both of them. Obviously nobody sees what we go do over on the other field, and we kind of just started doing some team field goal previous practice. So this was kind of the first time we went together as a group against a field goal block. And so I've been really impressed that Greg continues to be a model of consistency, and I'm really, really excited about Gabe. He's lost about 40 pounds and has continued to work with yoga and his flexibility. And so just when you see a guy that puts that kind of time in, it's hard not to be excited about him, just because you know how much it means to him. So, and he's starting to really, the work that he's put in is starting to show on the field, and so I'm really excited with that.
You see it in kind of the leg strength there. Is he going to take over the kickoff job?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think, with him, he's always had that leg strength, but obviously the more weight you lose, the ability you just become more flexible, more agile, and I think now by nature he's a little bit stiff, but he's continued to maximize what he's got, and obviously physically he's put himself in a position to have a chance to be really successful. So I'm proud of him for sure.
In the fall, just like 8 months ago, it was pretty scary watching the place kicking. Have they really made big strides over that period of time in consistency?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think really we missed 4 field goals on the year, and I think if you really go back and look at the film, really only 2 of them were due to Greg. I mean, we had one we had penetration that got tipped because of that, and I can't remember offhand what the other one was. So I think, with him, I feel really confident in running him out there. I don't hesitate at all. I think that the fact that, again, he came from junior college, just has a year under his belt, I'm excited to see him, continue to perform. But to be honest with you, I think it's going to be a battle. I mean, obviously he holds the upper hand because he did it last year, but I think Gabe's going to press him for everything that he wants. And then I think the one kid that is the sleeper who's really got a lot of natural ability is Dario Longhetto, and it's just about bringing him along, probably more so mentally than physically, because I think his physical tools are really, really special. It's just putting it all together for him.
Is Dario still doing both, the place kicking and punting?
He is. He's actually, we worked a little bit with, that's why he didn't kick any field goals today, because we just did some punting by design, but he is doing both. We've tamped down his punting this spring and worked more on the kickoffs and place kicking. So again, I anticipate that all 3 of them, we're always competing. So at the end of the day, we're going to compete through the spring and then into the fall to see, hey, where this thing shakes out. I mean, obviously, with Coots, we know he's our guy, and we know that he's a big-time punter, so we feel good about that. But, it's also developing, the next guy up, so to speak, as well.
How big are these days where you get officials out here and go through some live stuff just for the whole team in general?
Absolutely. I think anytime you're in the stadium and you see the officials, I think it adds to a little bit more of game-like conditions, if you will. And so I think anytime you can get in the stadium and have that, I think guys dial it up just a little bit more. And it's Saturday too. They know they've got a day off tomorrow, and we went live. So I think the competitive juices are going to be there. And so I think in all phases it certainly helps.
I've seen when Netherda gets out there for the special teams competition, he's extra juiced. How is having him around?
You know what? I have a lot of respect for him. And he's just one of those guys. And I told him this. I said, when you're drawing up special teams and guys that hey, you want on your special teams units, Alex Netherda's not the first guy that comes to mind, and I didn't mean that as a slight, but, you probably, as a coach, you're always pressing a little bigger, a little stronger, a little faster, yet he always shows up. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's about, and that's probably negligent on our part, but that's every coach, right? Yeah. You go and you look, you always want a little taller, you want a little stronger, you want a little faster, we're greedy,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
And so a guy like that is just not going to be denied. and there's something to be said for that. And that's why I said how much respect I have for him, because he's going to continue to work. He's going to do the little things right, and it's important to him. And I think at the end of the day, guys figure it out when they get here. It's a lot of hard work, but the majority of being successful is how bad you want it. And we had some high school coaches here for our clinic yesterday, and I was showing some different stuff and some clinic presentations, and he came up multiple times on cut-ups that we had made from the off season because he does it right. And so it's just a testament to him as who he is as a young man, and his hard work and his passion for Cal football, and it shows every time he comes out here.
One thing also on a similar track that Gavin told me that the tight ends are trying to start on 2 special teams each. How good is that to kind of hear from those guys?
Well, it's just it starts to permeate through our culture. It's like I was telling the coaches yesterday at the clinic, when we were talking about our punt return, what we call PBR, punt block and return unit, Elijah Hicks, like, listen, we're going to have this thing dialed up. We're going to be, and when guys start coming to you saying, hey, put this guy on it, hey, we need to start on 2 units. When you start having guys say those things on their own, you feel good, because it's starting to permeate and make its way through our culture. And we know that when guys are excited to do that, we're going to be pretty good on special teams.
With your background in high school coaching, does a day like yesterday kind of have a special place in your heart? Did you pick up some interesting things from anybody?
Absolutely it does. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's about what it's about. I told those guys that bottom line is it's about people and it's about players, and all of the other stuff, to me, you can figure it out. If you understand how to treat people and you can get players to play for you, you're going to have a lot of success. And that's the biggest thing that I told those guys. A lot of young coaches, it just, you can't ever lose sight of that. I was there a long time ago, and as I said, I went to many clinics and listened to many presentations, and it's just always good to get back in that arena and spend time with those guys. And at the end of the day, we're all stealing from each other. I don't know if there's ever anything that I ever created. I've always stole it from someone else and tried to make it a little bit better. But those days are awesome, and it's just good to help those guys and let them know that, hey, we're in their corner trying to help everybody, because that's what the game of football is all about.
When you have those kind of crossovers with the younger coaches, did they ever hit you with something that maybe makes you think about something a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a guy yesterday, we were talking about punt scheme, and he was explaining to me, it was similar. I wouldn't say it's a shield punt, but there's some pieces to it. So he was talking to me how he blocked, and I said, hey, man, I'd like to see some film on that. So at the end of the day, listen, I came from high school, the field is 53 1/3. It's 100, yards long. It's not. We're playing with 11 guys. This isn't Canada, So there's a lot of good coaches out there. From high school to junior college, to shoot. You're not even talking about small college football, and how many coaches. It's just to get to a position to coach at the Division I level, because it's the most seen, doesn't necessarily qualify you as, it's the highest level, but there's some breaks and things that have to go into getting here, and you've got to be lucky as well. There's timing involved. So I think you're very short-sighted if you don't think that you can go to those things and take away something yourself. So it's absolutely.
You guys good? All right, thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.
Good to see you.